Welcome back once again to the Pyro Gallery tutorial series. Today's tutorial is titled Creating an Artist Gallery at pyrogallery.com. This is going to be a long one, so let's go ahead and get started. Let's not waste any time. I'm going to show you real briefly what an artist gallery should look like. We're here in the artist section. Over here you'll see that the artist names show up. We're looking at this artist right now, C.J. Presma, and we get some of his work on the displayed here in this image viewer. We click to the right and it shows more images. We can go back and see some of the images we just looked at with the back button, and up here we've got a set of thumbnails like that. We can hide the thumbnail viewer. You look down here and we've got a bio picture that is about 100 pixels wide. Okay, remember that because we're going to get back to that. And we've got a set of text here, and we've got a group of another set of text right here in the right column. So this is set up pretty nicely. Got an unordered list going right down here like this. So this artist has used pretty much a lot of the really good features that are available. It's taken advantage of them. So this is a good example of a Pyro Gallery artist website. So let's not waste any more time. One thing I want to tell you is that this image right here, it's never really going to be bigger than 650 pixels wide. So you're going to want to go in and before you get started, you're going to want to go into Photoshop or one of these other free programs, maybe where you can resize the images. Your images really don't need to be any bigger than 650 pixels wide. That's 650 pixels wide from the left side to the right side. That's the horizontal dimension of your picture. Each one of those things, 650 pixels wide maximum. They don't need to be any bigger than that. It's best if you go in and size them down before you get started. Otherwise, you're going to choke up, the connection that you've got trying to load up your big fat, images straight from your camera. So let's go ahead and do that right now with one of these pictures. I'm going to get in Photoshop. We're going to look at this folder right here, and here is that artist. I've started out a folder for this artist, and I've got his headshot in one folder, and I've already gone in. I've saved that down to 100 pixels wide. I've got all his images in this folder, okay, and they're kind of big already. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in. I can see that they're 4.6 meg, 2500 pixels wide. These things are kind of huge, all right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all of these into Photoshop, okay? And again, Photoshop is, one choice. If you have it, it's good. If you don't, there's some free ones out there, okay? So basically, I'm going to take each one of these images. I'm going to say image size is 2500 pixels wide. I want it to be, so what did I tell you? 650 was the widest it needs to be. Hit OK. And there it is. I'm going to save it for web and devices, Photoshop, which is a nice little feature because it sort of resizes, it sort of optimizes it for the web. If you look down here, the web image size, again, still 650 pixels wide. I'm going to save that. You might want to save it in a new folder that would protect your original images. And I'm going to create the folder, and we could save it. For right now, you could save it with the same name. Just going to do that with all of the images. You can actually create an action in Photoshop that allows you to do this just by pointing one button. That's a different tutorial. And as far as Photoshop concerned, it's going to default right back to the same folder that the last one that you saved it into. So bear with me here. And that's probably enough to give you a good example of how to do this. So we got 3 images in here. That's going to be that'll be enough for me to demonstrate. You're going to want maybe 10 or 12 images at least in your photo gallery. But for this tutorial, we're just going to do 3, and there they are. Now, the next thing I like to do. Photoshop Bridge does this pretty well, but you might not have that. But you really want to sort of give these a name so that they're, organize them in order of how you want them to display. So I want this one to be first. Maybe I want this one to be second. So I'm going to name it. I've named the one I want first 001 to JPEG. I'm going to name the second one 002. And the third one is 003. That's just the way I like to do it, because then it keeps them in order, in the order that you want to do it. You don't have to do all that on the web. Okay, so we're done with that. Okay, so this concludes part 1 of our tutorial, creating an artist gallery at pyrogallery.com. We're trying to keep our videos down to a manageable size. So we're going to go ahead and conclude part 1. I'm going to ask you now to proceed to the part 2 of creating your own member gallery at pyrogallery.com on the website. Thanks, and we'll see you in part 2.